Hello everyone, I'm back, and I'm going to do another what if. This what if is going to explore the one that won in the polls. This what if is going to go off of what if Midoriya grew up in the same neighborhood as Kirishima and technically Mina. Because I'm going to make it because Kirishima and Mina technically become friends before they become friends with everyone else in the class. So technically, he also grows up with Mina. By the way, there will be slight spoilers about Kirishima's past, so because it's in the manga after where the anime ended. So yeah, that's just a heads up, but it's about the past. So yeah, Midoriya and Kirishima both are young and want to become heroes. One day in kindergarten, Kirishima comes to class with sad and with a scar over his eye. Midoriya here's what happened, and here's that Kirishima hates his quirk, because he accidentally activated it and cut himself. Midoriya tries to cheer him up, saying that it was an accident, and he doesn't know what he's capable of yet. Kirishima goes along with it and feels a bit better with Midoriya's advice. This also makes Midoriya even more excited to get his quirk. Then comes the day where it's announced that Midoriya is quirkless. This makes him very sad, and Kirishima starts to try and cheer him up, and it tells him Crimson Riot quotes about chivalry and quirks don't make the man. This makes Midoriya feel a tiny bit better. As they grow up, with both of their support, they both trained whenever they could. Then in middle school would come to where there'd be punks bullying a small kid who has the quirk to be able to turn leaves into anything for a certain amount of time. They tried getting him to help them buy stuff with the fake money. The same thing would happen where Kirishima would run in and try and stop the bullies, but then get pushed aside like he's a piece of paper. They then walk away, and Midoriya catches up to Kirishima. Midoriya starts to asks if he's okay, and says you can't struggle with trying the move and be the hero you want to be. Then see Mina yell at the bullies, and the bullies and the kid then become friends. Midoriya then comes that Mina is good at doing what heroes can do. They then start to walk home and see across the street two girls and they are in the school, in fear as a giant dark shadowy man yells at them for not answering his questions about where the Springer Hero Agency is. The girls look afraid, and Midoriya and Kirishima don't know what to do. Mina then jumps in front of them and gives random coordinates, or random directions. Kirishima starts to release his breath, starts to relax, and turns to Midoriya to see his face drain of color. Midoriya, what's wrong? Those are random directions. She doesn't know. What? The man starts to walk away. You see, Midoriya, it's fine. I'm sorry, my impressions are very bad. But the man then stops and walks back, saying very angrily that he came from that direction she gave, and that they lied. He starts to look like he's winding up a punch. Kirishima gets scared and can't move, although Midoriya starts to run. He runs, jumps, and pushes the girls out of the way, and he gets hit right into the wall behind him. Midoriya in pain looks up and says the correct direction to the agency before he can be hit again. The man says thank you and then walks away. Midoriya is put in the hospital, but the worst thing is she just broke his arm. He just has to stay in the hospital so he can rest. Kirishima eventually comes and he starts off greeting him, and after a couple of minutes, Kirishima asks how did he do it? How was he able to save them like that? Midoriya says he doesn't really know. His body just moved on its own. Kirishima then asks how he do that without being afraid. Midoriya tells him that he was afraid. How could he try saving them without being afraid? At that moment, Mina and the other two girls enter Midoriya's hospital room. They start thanking him for helping them. They keep saying thank you over and over. Midoriya says it's no problem. Kirishima also apologizes for not being able to help. The girls, Mina and Kirishima all then go home. That night, Kirishima starts tearing up in his room, starts crying. And Midoriya is a better hero, and Midoriya knows he's weak, and he's not angry that he's better. He's just angry that he has a, Midoriya knows he's weak, and well, he still ran, knowing that he might die. Kirishima then throws a book, and a hologram from the book he never watched pops up. It was a special inclusion with the book. Crimson Rights then pops up and says what Midori said about fear. It makes him realize that he is able to become a hero. He just has to hide that fear within him. Eventually, Midoriya is healed, and he and his mom go on a small trip for the weekend later to visit a relative. This is where the town where he originally lived in the actual story. He'd be walking around and would hear people talk about a slime monster running around. Eventually, he'd be attacked by the slime monster, and All Might would come and save him. The same thing would happen, where he then wakes up, gets the autograph, and as he's tripping away, he'd jump on All Might. All Might would then land, and Midoriya would then ask him if it was possible for him to become a hero. All Might would then, go out of the transformation. Midoriya would freak out, and the man would say, if you don't have a quirk, you might as well just become a cop because it's too dangerous. And then he'd walk away. Midoriya would feel sad, and would start trying to walk back to where he and his mom are staying. Although, he would then see an explosion in the distance and start running over to it. Midoriya would see the slime monsters attacking a kid. The kid is making tons of explosions and causing destruction and fire. Midoriya realizes it's his fault and sees that the kid is suffering. No hero is able to do anything, and all of a sudden, Midoriya realizes that his body is moving on its own. He starts running and trying to save the kid. The kid yells at him, "What are you doing?" Midoriya says he has no idea and just couldn't watch him die. Midoriya's bravery makes All Might save them, and the same stuff happens. As Midoriya walks home, the kid from before yells at him and asks why did he do that? Why did he try to save him? Midoriya just says like what he said before, that his body moved on its own. The kid just scoffs and walks away. As he's walking away, he says his name is Bakugo, and he'll see him at UA. So, I quickly want to say that Bakugo would probably be nicer to Midoriya because he never knew him before. And so, I don't think he would be as mean. I also think in the manga, Bakugo eventually realizes he can't look down on everybody. And I feel like if he never, saw Midoriya, he would never look down on everyone. So he'd still see potential Midoriya as being a hero, for doing that. So I also think that's why he'd expect him to be at UA. When Midoriya is all alone again, All Might jumps out and says that he is able to be a hero, and all the same stuff would happen. Tears and happiness. He'd then say to meet him at the beach, like the famous beach around where they live, tomorrow. I'm also gonna say the beach is like a famous beach, so it's right next to Midoriya's town too. Next day, he would say that he'd have to train to get his power, and Midoriya would then follow all the advice for training and eating. He'd get it done even faster, because if you remember, Kirishima inspired Midoriya to still try to become a hero, so he already has some training. He then gets One for All and starts to learn how to use it. Since Midoriya, like I said, has training because of Kirishima, he probably asks how to control the quirk. He then figure it out and only gets small injuries from the quirk, like not broken fingers, just get them probably really sore or bruised. Eventually, the day would come where he'd go to the entrance exam. He would be walking towards UA and starts to fall. He then gets caught by a girl who said she thought he wouldn't mind being saved. He'd then enter the building after she walks away and learn the rules and go to his test area. He'd see the girl again and go over the thank you, but is stopped by a tall kid, and that says he won't let her get distracted by him. The test would then start, and Midoriya would run and start destroying robots. He's doing really well, but then the ground starts to shake. A giant robot, Zero Pointer, rises and starts to destroy the city. Midoriya gets a bit scared and gets ready to start running away, but then he hears someone scream. He turns to see the girl from before stuck under rubble. Everyone else is running away, and she's about to be crushed. Midoriya doesn't know what to do, but all of a sudden, his body starts moving on its own again. He starts running and jumps. Without thinking, he uses 100% of One For All and obliterates the robot. Although, as he falls, he starts to try thinking about how he'll land. He panics and he's about to hit the ground, but then gets slapped and floats to the ground. He then gets kissed by an old lady and feels all better. As Midoriya starts to go home, he gets tackled by Mina and Kirishima. Oh, hey guys. Oh, don't hey you guys, us. Huh? We heard about what you did. You smashed a zero-pointer. How did you do it? Aren't you quirkless? Well, you see, I got it recently. The doctor said I must be a late bloomer. Oh, well, congrats, man. Thanks. We'll see you guys around. Midoriya would then start to wonder if he passed or not. He may have destroyed a bunch of robots, but he also destroyed his body. He eventually received a letter saying he got into UA. Midoriya would be so happy, although the happiness went into his head and became a question. Should he tell Mina and Kirishima about One For All? Well, what do you guys think? Should he tell them or should he not? Vote in the comments below, and I'll put the decision in the next part. Speaking of, what do you want my 300 subscriber special to be, since that goal is happening soon? Comment suggestions below. Anyways, my fools and ghouls, your foolish jester, is out.